Welcome back, everyone. Today's podcast is about the reader's perspective in staying authentic in a world that wants to change you. So, today's episode is going to be a little different. I wanted to step away from the cards for a moment and speak from the heart about something I've been thinking about lately. Not as a tarot reader, not as a spiritual guide, just as a person walking a path that I never expected to be on. Over the years, really the recent year, I've received a lot of advice about how to grow a channel, how to create content, and how to keep people's attention. I've been told to shorten my openings. By the way, I have done that. I've been told to remove the pauses. I've been told to speak faster, to get to the point quicker, to change this, improve that, follow what everyone else is doing. And while I generally appreciate constructive feedback, it has led me to reflect on something much bigger. At what point does improvement become losing yourself? Because there is a difference between growing and abandoning who you are. The truth is, I never set out to become a tarot reader. This wasn't part of some grand business plan. I didn't wake up one morning and decide that this would be my career. If I'm being honest, this path found me long before I fully accepted it. Spirit kept nudging me, calling me, placing signs in front of me, guiding me towards something that didn't always make sense at the time. And if you've ever felt called to something, whether it's healing, creating, teaching, helping others, or following a dream that no one around you understands, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Calling doesn't always arrive with instructions. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper. Sometimes it arrives as a feeling you can't shake. Sometimes it arrives as a door that keeps opening no matter how many times you try to walk away from it. That has been my experience. And because of that, I've always tried to approach this work with my authentic energy. Not perfection, authentic. When I sit down to do a reading, I'm not performing, I'm listening. There are moments when I pause because I'm waiting. Moments when I'm feeling into the energy. Moments where I'm allowing the message to unfold naturally. The spaces between the words are often just as important as the words themselves. Yet, we live in a world that has become uncomfortable with silence. Everything must be faster. Everything must be louder. Everything must be edited down into the shortest possible version. But Spirit rarely speaks to me that way. Some of the most meaningful guidance I've ever received arrived in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when nothing seemed to be happening. And perhaps that's why I believe authentic energy matters more now than ever. Because people are hungry for something real, not polished, not manufactured, not carefully engineered. real. And that brings me to something else I think we should talk about: the comments. Now, before I say anything else, I want to acknowledge something important. The overwhelming majority of comments I receive, ah, they're beautiful. They are so encouraging, so supportive, and they are filled with kindness. Many of you have touched my heart more deeply than you could ever know. Some of you have shared stories of healing, stories of hope, stories of finding your strength again after difficult seasons of life. Those comments stay with me. They remind me why I continue showing up. But every creator eventually experiences the other side too. The criticism, the accusations, the comments that tell you that you're wrong, the comments that tell you that your work has no value, comments that call you a fraud. And if you're a new reader or creator, those comments can be devastating. I've seen talented readers walk away from their gifts because they allowed one negative voice to outweigh 100 supportive ones. The reality is that behind every channel is a human being. Well, most channels. And we feel things. We have doubts. We have difficult days. We're not immune to criticism simply because we sit in front of a camera. But one of the most important lessons I've learned is this: not every voice deserves equal access to your spirit. Constructive feedback can help us grow. Thoughtful criticism can help us improve. But cruelty is not guidance. And someone's decision to misunderstand your purpose does not change your purpose. One comment does not define your work. One opinion does not define your value. And one person's belief does not erase the people that you've helped. If you're a new reader listening to this today, please hear me when I say this. Do not allow a handful of negative voices to silence a calling that Spirit placed inside you. The world already has enough people pretending to be someone else. What it needs is more people willing to be authentic. And while we're talking honestly today, there's another misconception I'd like to clear up. Many people assume that because readers often offer guidance, we must somehow have everything figured out, that we're perfectly healed, perfectly enlightened, perfectly balanced. And I can assure you that's not the case. We're learning, we're growing, we're healing, we're navigating our own lessons every single day. In fact, there's been many times when I delivered a message for the collective and later realized I needed to hear those exact words myself. Sometimes Spirit is teaching the messenger while delivering the message. And I think that's beautiful because it reminds us that none of us are standing above anyone else. We're standing beside one another, walking through different chapters, of the same human experience, learning, falling, growing, trying again, trusting, healing. None of us have it all together. And perhaps that's one of the greatest lessons I've learned on this path. You don't have to be perfect to help someone. You don't have to have every answer to offer guidance. You don't have to be finished healing before you become a light for others. You simply have to be willing to listen, willing to learn, and willing to show up in your authentic energy. So, if there's one thing I'd like you to take away from today's episode, it's this: stay true to yourself. Allow yourself to evolve, but don't abandon who you are. Accept wisdom, but don't surrender your voice. Listen to feedback, but don't hand strangers the keys to your self-worth. Trust the path that called you. Trust the gifts you've been given. And trust that people meant for your message will always find it. Because in a world full of noise, authentic energy is becoming a rare and powerful thing. And perhaps the greatest gifts that we can offer each other is not perfection, it's truth. So I thank you for spending this time with me today. Until next time, take care of yourselves, trust your journey, and keep following the path that calls to your soul. I love you. Bye-bye.